Good evening. I call the Monday, January 12th, 2026, regular business meeting of the Lee County Board of Education to order. Mr. Travill will give this evening's invocation.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we ask that you guide our thoughts, our words, and our decisions as we serve our students and our community. Grant us the wisdom and unity in all we do. Amen.
You have the agenda for this meeting before you, and if there are no modifications, we will adopt by consent. At this time, our Vice Chairperson, Mrs. Donna Ford, will review protocol and public participation guidelines for this evening's meeting.
Meetings of the Board of Education are held to conduct the affairs and the business of the school system. Although these meetings are not meetings of the public is invited to attend all meetings, and members of the public are invited to address the board at appropriate times and in accordance with procedures established by the board or the superintendent.
And at this time, Dr. Truitt will provide this evening's welcome and board recognitions.
Good evening. Welcome to our January Board of Education meeting and Happy New Year. It is with a heavy heart that we share the loss of a true and dedicated 20-year veteran bus driver this week. We lost Mr. Glenn Castleberry. If we could pause for a moment of silence for the loss of an individual that contributed so much to our organization. Thank you. We hope that you keep Mrs. Castleberry and the entire family in your thoughts and prayers. We have had a very good first week back, and we are ready to finish this school year strong. We have met with every school leadership team. They have reviewed their progress to this point in their continuous improvement process. We have celebrated success and made adjustments to planning where there is improvement that needs to continue to be our focus. Tonight we are going to be discussing the process we are using to develop our next strategic plan. All in all, we are looking forward to a new year, a new start, and continued success in 2026. With that success in mind, I would like to bring Mr. Rocky Ledford, Director of Teaching and Learning in Grades 6-12, to the podium for a few recognitions.
So for our recognition tonight, we have a first ever in the state of Georgia. Our Lee County High School Teamworks competed in the Southeast Georgia Skills Challenge in Statesboro and brought home third place while placing first in the region. The team was an all-female team and the first all-female team to qualify for the state competition, a historic moment for the state of Georgia. So we're going to call these team members up. So when I call your name, please come up to the front to be recognized and remain up front for a picture. First, we have Stephanie Powell, team lead and Next, we have Myra Watzlawick Mason. Next, we have Briley Reagan, the electrician. And next, we have Aubrey Waller Carpenter. They will advance to the state competition in Atlanta next month and will be featured by Construction Ready for their history-making accomplishment. Congratulations to our Lady Trojans and to their instructor, Mr. John Warner. Way to make history.
Board members, will you take that, please? Come on closer. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Stay put just in case parents want any pictures. Parents, are you good? Perfect.
Great job.
Very good.
Currently, the board is requesting to approve minutes from the December 8th, 2025 regular business meeting. May I have a motion to approve the meetings as presented? May I have a second? Thank you. Are there any questions or corrections from the board? Being none, I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next, the board needs to approve the November 2025 financial report. Dr. Drew, do you have any comments regarding this report?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, I make the recommendation that the financial report as submitted be accepted for the month of November 2025.
May I have a motion to approve the November 2025 financial report as presented? May I have a second? Are there any questions from the board regarding the report? I have a motion and a second to approve the November 2025 financial report as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. It is necessary for the board to adjourn for an executive session. The board will reconvene at the conclusion of this meeting. May I have a motion to discuss or deliberate upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action or dismissal, or periodic evaluation or rating of a public officer or employee, or to interview applicants for the position of superintendent? Okay. May I have a second? Second. Are there any questions? I have a motion and a second to adjourn into executive session. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We're currently adjourned and we'll reconvene. May I have a motion to reopen? May I have a second? Any further questions or comments? It is motion and seconded to reopen. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. At this time, Dr. True will present our monthly information and reports.
Okay. Well, the first step I'd love to talk about is strategic plan, developing the plan for the strategic plan. We are just at the beginning of the strategic plan planning process. I feel like a Dr. Seuss book here. We are at the stage of developing the plan where we are gathering the input of the stakeholders. During this time period, we will be holding strategic planning sessions at all school sites with the district and school leadership and community partners. Once the themes of improvement have been identified, the board will then work on setting overarching goals that will drive the direction of the school district for the next 5 years. After those goals are set, school district teachers, students will develop action plans to work to achieve the goals set by the Board of Education. It is our goal to have this final plan in place and approved by this fall, no later than this fall. In the interim, while we are in the midst of planning our next strategic plan, we will continue to close out our current plan. For that plan, it has been our standard to introduce at this time of year our priorities for the next school year in January. We are closing out 1 year and planning for the next school year all at the same time. On the screen, you will see our school year 26-27 priorities. We will continue to focus on all students reading on grade level. Our work around literacy is really seeming to pay off with the focus on early literacy, but not all of our students have received that instruction as they have moved through our system, and we want to ensure that reading remains a priority throughout our students' K-12 experience. Consistency in grading continues to be a focus as we will build on the work that has been done last year and this year. Finance continues to be a focus both in transparency and financial effectiveness and efficiency. And finally, I am not sure that you could ever communicate too much. So we will continuously try to improve our communication within and to our stakeholders. Very shortly, all of the priorities will be posted on our website for review. Our SPLOST update. Our SPLOST collection for the month of November totaled $507,536.75, a little bit up from the previous month. With plant operations, our corrective work orders issued were 189 and 169 were completed. Preventative work orders, 174 were completed out of 174 issued. Student health services, with January being a short month, there's not a ton to report, but we're beginning to see an increase in flu and respiratory viruses. Right before the break, we're going to be monitoring attendance and reports of illness going forward. There were 2,480 visits to clinics in December. At this time, I would like to invite Dr. David Sims, our Senior Director of Human Resources and Student and Family Services, to the podium to share the calendar development process and calendar draft for the next 2 school years. We have received incredible amounts of positive feedback from both employees and the community for the publication of a 2-year calendar. Dr. Sims.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Truitt. Tonight, I'm going to talk to you about the process that we've used to develop a draft for the next 2 years in the calendar. It'll be a 2-year calendar. We've collected staff input. We had a calendar advisory committee, and then we would like to collect public input as well. So our staff survey went out on October 10th as we left for fall break, and then it ran through the end of October, October 31st. 35th, we didn't have that many days. During that time, there were 324 responses collected, and really, it was a short survey that was focused on some very important aspects of the calendar. When do you want school to finish? How many pre-planning days do you want? How many post-planning days do you want? When are well-timed breaks? October for a fall break, you can see that over 90% rated a fall break in October as important. A majority of our stakeholders wanted 4 or 5 pre-planning days, and then we even asked them when did they prefer professional learning days during the school year, and they highlighted February and October for that. So we took that survey data, and then we had a calendar advisory committee that had a representative from each school that met here with me. We went over the data that was collected, and at that time there was a rough draft of what a calendar could look like, and they were able to give feedback on when a break might be, when professional learning might be. So again, we collected that data, and then at the end of getting that data, we had additional review here where we tried to combine the two. So we took all the feedback from all of our stakeholders. I thought it was important to note that every stakeholder within our school system in terms of our staff had the opportunity to provide feedback either through the survey or in person. And that last kind of review just made sure we followed specific guidelines either from the state or from the district, 180 student instructional days, 190 staff days. So at this point, we're looking to, now that we've got feedback from all of our stakeholders inside, we'd like to get feedback from our stakeholders outside, from parents in the community. So we would like to post this calendar tomorrow for public input, and that would run through February 4th, and at that time we would collect that input, have an additional review to see what changes we may or may not need to make, what are the strengths and weaknesses, and then we would present a final 2-year calendar to the board at the February board meeting. Dr. Truitt, that concludes my calendar presentation.
Okay, any questions on calendar? Okay. All right, at this time, I would like to invite Dr. Sims to stay at the podium. He is going to share an update for policy EE, food services management, and tonight's review is part of an ongoing policy review to ensure that Lee County School System is current with all state and federal regulations.
So part of what we do when we review policy is we look at, what is the state legislature or the state board of education passed down that we have to do, and then beyond that, we look at, okay, what hasn't been reviewed in a long time, and let's make sure that we're meeting the requirements as set forth by the state or the federal government. So policy EE, food services management. This policy needed updated so that it would align with the Georgia State Board of Education rules as they set down and ensure compliance with the USDA Smart Snacks and school standards. The updates made to this policy, which I believe you have a red line copy of, would make sure that we are meeting the mandates that we have and that we're in compliance. Before this review, the last time this policy was reviewed was in 2018, and the policy as it currently is written does not fully reflect the current requirements that we need to have. So, of those, just some importance: all food and beverages sold during the school day must meet the Smart Snack standards. This policy clarifies a limited number of fundraiser exemptions allowed under Georgia rules, and it establishes the expectations for allowable food sales, fundraiser approval, and documentation for compliance.
I think it's important to know that we haven't extended beyond any federal regulations. This is meeting the bare minimum of the federal regulations around smart snacks.
What's the smart snack?
It is a snack as defined as, under the guidance of the federal government, as a quote-unquote healthy snack. And so all we've done with this policy and regulation is meet the bare minimum of the federal requirements. We haven't tried to go beyond that.
So no cupcakes in the classroom?
Uh,
No cookies?
So-
Donuts?
So the policy differentiates between food that the school provides and food that the school does not
There
provide.
you go.
So it doesn't say you can't have a birthday party, for a second grader's birthday. It's what does the school provide our students, and then some other foods that are allowed that the school is not responsible for.
Is the concession stand an extension of the school? Because I don't see a bunch of people buying a bunch of broccoli.
Not direct.
Not
That would be
direct.
outside of school hours, so
Okay.
that
Yeah.
gives us a little bit more leeway.
And then, if, I'm looking at here.
We will not be selling broccoli if anyone was.
Well, I mean, might buy $5. If it's not being sold, but it's provided. So businesses provide, I know it's not, you're saying it was sold, but in this policy, there's some wording here that you might want to strongly encourage to align with that. I mean, I've been a part of cooking for a bunch of kids out here, and sometimes they got a bunch of fryers out there, something's gonna be fried. I mean, is that how we can do that?
It's whether it's in a school day or outside of the school day.
Well, let's just say the football team, and again, I don't wanna be on football, but they cook for the kids every single day. I was a part of that for years, and I'm sure there's some fries or some fries involved. I mean, how are we gonna now not benefit our football team
It's outside
because?
of school hours.
Yeah,
That's, okay.
it's outside school hours.
Gotcha.
It's mainly what can you serve during the day.
Just during the day.
So that it
no
doesn't
cookies.
compete with the, lunch program.
Gotcha. Awesome, thank you.
Um,
I bet that's the smartest.
No, that's fine.
That's not smart?
Mr. Watkins.
Okay. So, we'll put this out for, it's on your consent agenda to put that out for public review.
And then regulation EEE-R1 is tied to the first, but it essentially adds some requirements, not requirements, adds some administrative guidance on how that's gonna be done. So it is required for all districts participating in the federal meals program. So it's something that we had to do, and it basically sets up the procedures for the oversight, stakeholder involvement, the nutrition standards and marketing, and I'm gonna butcher this word, triennial assessment and public reporting for how we look at our food program. That is the last one? Thanks. So, it designates a district wellness coordinator, and it establishes a wellness committee to look at this stuff, the daily aspect. You're looking at the big picture policies, they would look at the daily operational side
LCSS?
Not currently.
Trust me,
I
we'll
wouldn't,
be right on it if they change it.
they did just change the food pyramid, so it could be.
Oh, yeah, they can flip it upside down.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And I believe, when originally submitted, just to clear it up, there was some language that could have not conflicted, but just made it confusing between the two, so we tidied that up today to make sure that they align directly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Okay.
Huh? No.
Mhm.
At this time, we'll move to our monthly business items. And in the first item of business, the board is asked to approve the current personnel agenda. Dr. Truitt, do you have any comments on the current personnel agenda?
Madam Chair, members of the board, I recommend that the personnel agenda as recommended is approved as presented this evening.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the current personnel agenda as presented? Thank you. May I have a second? Are there any questions or comments from the board? Being none, I have a motion and a second to approve the current personnel consent agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. In the second business item, the board is asked to approve the current consent agenda. Dr. Truitt, do you have any comments?
Madam Chair, members of the board, you have been presented with a consent agenda containing fundraisers, out-of-state or overnight trips, website flyer, facility use, a bus auction list, and the first reading of policy EE, food services management services, and school calendars to be posted for a 30-day review. I recommend that the consent agenda be approved as presented.
May I have a motion to approve the current consent agenda as presented? Thank you. May I have a second? Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board? I have a motion and a second to approve the current consent agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. In the third item of business, the board is asked to approve the resolution for the educational SPOS to be placed on the May 2026 election ballot. Dr. Truitt, do you have any comments?
Absolutely. Before you this evening for approval is the final SPOS referendum. As a reminder, this is to continue our penny sales tax for capital projects that is already in place. This allows projects that might normally be funded through general funds, which have a direct relationship with your property tax. For example, we know for certain that we need to replace the HVAC at the high school. That project alone is estimated to cost approximately $5 million. If you look at that in the millage rate, and if we had to do that in 1 year, that'd be about 4 mills that we would need to replace that HVAC. So we could have SPOS where everybody helps pay for that, including visitors to Lee County and including people who go on over to the Walmart and shop right over there off of Lido, or we could pay for that through property tax. And so we are hoping that SPOS is the way for everyone who spends money in Lee to share in the cost of improving our buildings, replacing worn and broken furniture, buses, books. We posted this list last month after the December board meeting. Feedback was received from less than 10 community members. And although the feedback was varied, most indicated a particular project that they were interested in. Two mentioned a natatorium, which is a swimming complex, which would be wonderful. And another indicated that spending should be focused on classrooms and instructional materials. And only one stakeholder indicated that not any of the projects should be completed. If approved tonight, our next steps will be to work to have this referendum placed on the ballot for our citizens to vote.
May I have a motion to approve resolution for the educational SPOS as presented? May I? Thank you. May I have a second? Thank you, ma'am. Are there any further questions or comments from the board? Being none, I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution for the educational SPOS as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And in the fourth and final general business item, the board is asked to approve the proposed senior tax exemption bill for presentation by local representatives at the upcoming legislative session of the Georgia General Assembly. Dr. Drew, would you like to read this?
Madam Chair, members of the board, before you this evening is the final referendum for our start to senior tax exemptions. This is a two-part relief, the first being relief from the bond tax as proposed right here in our boardroom by Dr. Larry Walters. Thank you to Dr. Walters for your feedback and suggestion. And the second for total relief for our most vulnerable seniors. Once approved, we will submit this referendum to be local legislation, to our local legislation for next steps. Thank you to this board for your work on this legislation, and thank you to the Lee County Tax Office for their assistance in developing this work as well.
May I have a motion to approve the proposed senior tax exemption bill for presentation by local representatives at the upcoming legislative session of the Georgia General Assembly as presented?
Make a motion to approve.
May I have a second? Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Being none, I have a motion and a second to approve the proposed senior tax exemption bill for presentation at the upcoming legislative session of the Georgia General Assembly as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And finally, this is the time that the board sets aside during each regular business meeting for members of the school district to address the board on any related issues of concern in accordance with published policies and procedures of the Lee County Schools. At this time, there were no requests to speak at this evening's meeting. And if there's no further business, on behalf of the board, I would like to thank you for attending this evening's meeting. And as a reminder, the next regularly scheduled board meeting